We kick off hour number 2 with our in-studio guests that need a hug because their respective teams lost collectively by the combined score of 65 to 36 in week number 1. But at least they've got a winning pod on the Underdog Fantasy Podcast Network 5 times a week. Check out Heed the Call with Dan Hanzus and Marc Sessler. Good to see you guys. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks for having us.
We're doing well. It is a reminder, yes, that things could be better with the football teams. But, I was saying, Mark, on our podcast last night with the Jets, Rich, that
yes, sir.
We won week 1 last year, but the season felt over. This year we lost week 1, but we're still alive.
That's right.
There's a lot to go.
That's what I said to start the program.
Brockman over there thinks the Patriots now are alive and the Jets are dead. We'll see. Week 1 lies, Brockman. You know that.
That's what I think. Yeah. Kyle Brandt said that all throughout Game Day Morning and on Good Morning Football Overtime, which you can see right here on the Roku channel. But in all seriousness, though, I did start the program to say, hey, at least the quarterback walked out and he's healthy and he will be starting week number 2 for Tennessee. Where do you stand on the way the Browns week 1 went?
I mean,
Mark?
A dictionary definition of an apocalypse. I mean, it was like I was, we cover a number of games for our show on Sunday night, and
Indeed.
I was excited to pick that one up. I thought it was going to be, you get Tom Brady in the booth, and
yes.
He fared better than Cleveland. I thought the Browns basically took every question you had about them and answered it in the most negative way possible. I'm in a world at this point where I thought they were so completely outcoached, outclassed, that about 5 or 6 minutes into game time, I knew it was over. And I've been doing this for years. There's been Browns games where like game over, like midway through the first quarter. It's like, I think season over if they don't figure out what's happening with Deshaun Watson, because I am looking at a quarterback that has regressed to a point where I don't understand who he was in Houston, who he is now, and I would much rather turn to Jameis Winston at this point, a la Joe Flacco, the last time I felt hope as a Browns fan.
So that is an interesting question there, because Watson did say after the game, his dad passed away and his close friend passed away, even though his mom raised him. He said it affected him. He didn't use it as an excuse, he was saying. But there were a couple of throws. And again, because I had Amari Cooper in a fantasy against that man that's in the corner right there, who I can't look in the face because he actually beat me this week.
It's tough.
Dude, I don't understand why. Because I feel like I've got a lot going on in my life.
That's the problem.
But why do I need to win a fantasy to actually feel good about myself internally and externally? It's so sad. But that's my own. That's an MP, not a YP. Okay. So
it's like an America P.
But I was focusing a little bit on where Cooper was on the field. A couple of times he's in the end zone or heading to the end zone, and the ball hit the back wall. And a couple of times he's going down the left sideline, and the ball hit the kicking net.
Yeah.
And it was so far afield. It was one of what has happened to this guy is the question you have to have.
There were so many turnover-worthy throws. I thought his finest pass of the day was a dart out of bounds to CeeDee Lamb, who caught it with no problems along the Cowboys sideline. That was
no, he did. He did take one in the chops after taking it in the chops all day, and he hit Cooper in his hands, and it went through his hands. Yeah. That's another thing that I was, particularly keen to see him catch. But that said, it was a big ass question mark all Sunday.
I think there's a world where I can't roadmap it right now, but the Browns find a way to get out of this situation at some point, and you can't do this for 3 more years. What we just saw, I don't know if I could do it for 3 more weeks. 3 more minutes might be tough. So
$92 million guaranteed left on the contract after this year. And the thing that's jumped out to me watching him, it's also, coming out of college, his coach was saying this is a Michael Jordan type talent. He can do everything. And that's what he looked like at times with Houston. And all the off-the-field stuff is one thing. On the field, scattershot arm. He does not push the ball downfield. And when he tries to evade pass rush, he was a supreme athlete. And now all you ever see is him getting dragged down as he tries to escape the pocket. He just seems like a different player entirely. So that's a tough one.
There's some winnable games sitting in front, too, though. I mean, I'm not talking about this week. At Jacksonville, that is a tough place to play.
Yep.
That is a tough team. I mean, Josh Hines-Allen is a grown man. Travon Walker did look better against the Dolphins in week number 1. And they're also equally as desperate to not go to 0-2. You do have the Giants in week 3 coming into the dog pound. Now, if Daniel Jones and the Giants come in there and win that game, I don't know.
We have problems at that point.
I would think so. I mean, at Vegas, at Washington, these are games that a team that made the playoffs last year with 11 wins, and Joe Flacco being the comeback player of the year because of how well he was performing in this offense without Nick Chubb, although with I imagine a more healthy offensive line. These are games that the Browns should win. You should expect them to win these games.
Yeah, I think that you can, like, looking at the schedule, you could roadmap them being 2-2, possibly 3-2.
Right.
I think it still comes down to who is this quarterback and what does he look like? Because if it's this, winning those games loses meaning to me because you still have to go through the rugged nature of the entire season with someone that I'm not sure can play anymore. I watched a quarterback.
Wow.
I'm not sure this quarterback can play anymore. And I also does he want to? Is this someone that is burning with passion to play football? Because when I hear him speak and talk, I just don't see it. I mean, we've all seen those quarterbacks where you can feel that their livelihood, everything about them, their soul, their nucleus is about playing football at the NFL level. And I'm not feeling that personally from Deshaun Watson. I tweeted out last night, just like playing quarterback for the Cleveland Browns should mean something. And it was an image of Bernie Kosar in a driving snowstorm against the old Houston Oilers. That meant something to me, like watching him play. I could feel it. You could feel it coming off his skin. And I don't feel the way with Deshaun Watson. I don't know how else to say it. I just show it to me.
And I wonder
show it to all of us.
If it does continue down this road, if you know, Kevin Stefanski, he's in a very safe place. He's the reigning coach of the year. But if he feels one way and ownership feels another way, like what is happening behind the scenes around his, whether he continues as QB1 with this team, if the play doesn't get where it needs to be. I mean, the money is outrageous that they promised to this guy, and now his play has complicated everything.
But if you go to Jameis and Deshaun is healthy, you bench him just to say he needs a break, he needs a breather, he needs this. How, with $92 million left on a contract, how do you even go back to him, right? I mean, I guess you can.
Right.
You can. I mean, so the question is doesn't this essentially fracture the relationship if they just say you're benched due to ineffectiveness?
Yes, I think it does fracture it. And I guess it's like, are we okay with it being fractured? I mean, they weren't in the offseason because Joe Flacco wanted to stay in Cleveland. And I think we all think, like, Joe Flacco was too likable. He was winning. The team loved him. He was giving the speeches in the locker room after the game, and everyone just, you could feel that leadership. And who's giving the speeches in the pregame? Cleveland Browns feed is tweeting out Jameis motivating the troops. You didn't even see Deshaun Watson doing it. So it's like, I think they're a little allergic to someone coming in and being more likable than Deshaun Watson because they've got a problem with Deshaun Watson as a personality. I don't think that we're understanding who he is. He feels a little lost to me as who is this human being for multiple reasons. And it's like Joe Flacco, too likable. Jameis Winston, you have a problem if he comes in, he wins a few games, and he's the Jameis version of himself where he's verbally intriguing and riles up the whole team. And the Browns fans are going crazy for him. We're right back where we were a year ago with Flacco, and they got rid of that guy because it was too much of a problem. You're stuck with this guy at quarterback. So I think it is a conundrum.
I thought being a Jets fan was complicated, Rich. This is a whole
this
other
is why
level.
I don't sleep. I'm up all night,
There's a little existential crisis stuff going on here.
Well, if we cut to 1 year ago today, you were in a fetal position, sir.
I was.
I mean, there's no question about it.
I was.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.